Yes, guys, welcome to Chasing Green Arrows. We are live for your pre-Game Week 20 preview. I'm Gianni Batici, and I'm joined by two very special guests, our regulars on the show. It's Mr. Dean Jones and Big Man Backer. Dean, first and foremost, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Yeah, just getting ready for Fulham against Arsenal at the weekend. Obviously, I wasn't holding any hope at all. I've been trying to get my little boy ready for it. Being like, mate, remember this is one of those ones we don't go into with any expectations. Like any expectations, we'll probably lose. And then last night, suddenly, he's like, "How did Arsenal get on?" I'm like, "They lost 2-0 to West Ham." He's like, "Dad, we might beat them. We might beat them." It's like, yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Oh, it doesn't always work like that. I love that. Managing a child's expectations when you're supporting as a season ticket holder at a club like Fulham must be interesting. We'll speak more about that Fulham fixture later because I am considering, we'll see all of our teams benching Bukayo Saka this week. I think, Big Man, you've got some benching dilemmas too. But first and foremost, how did you get on in game week 19? Did you end up playing double Arsenal defence over Porro? I haven't asked.
Yeah, hello, Johnny and Dean. Hello, welcome to all the listeners and viewers. I did actually end up playing Saliba over Porro, which was unfortunate, but I mean, these are the kind of things that tend to go against you. I still stand by the decision. If a team is conceding 4 goals, more often than not, the defender will get 2 or 3 points at best, even with an attacking return. The fact that he got 2 bonus points was generally incredible. Had Brighton spread their goals around a bit, I assume that wouldn't have happened. But because João Pedro had scored, I think two of the goals, he took away most of the bonus. So it was one of those things. It's fine. We move on. It was a very marginal red arrow for me. I think I dropped by around 1,000 places. So it was a good week overall. Yeah, I will take that. I finished with 42 points. I had Darwin, which worked well, and yeah, it was a good week overall.
Oh, yeah. We both were awarded there with Darwin. We'll see our teams later, so we'll talk more in detail. But I do want to know what you're planning on maybe doing with Darwin. But maybe we should hold that because I feel like that's a fairly juicy one for later. Hello to everyone in the chat. CH is with us. We've got British 87, FPL Down Under. Ralor is there. Sokan is there. Loads of you. Hello, team. Sokan says my season is in a shambles. Same points as Gianni. Excuse me, I'm at 100k OR, mate. I don't know what you're on. There we go. Guys, we got loads to get through today.
Are you 100k now?
Yeah, I'm 100. I think I was 104k last night. I think I'm actually 110k, but I'm around the 100k mark. So yeah, I'm fairly happy with that. I want it to be 100k by the new year, and that's close because we'll get some games before the new year. So yeah, I'm buzzing off that. You know how much I fret over my rank, Dean. It's
I know, yeah, no, I'm pleased with you. I'm pleased the year has ended well for you, mate. I'm pleased. Yeah, I would love to be at 100k, so I'm very jealous.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the games in the last couple of days, Dean. What are the big headlines for you? Like, it's been a couple of good nights of football, hasn't it?
It has, but there's still this air of unpredictability that's really not helping us in FPL, is there? West Ham have been a team that I just haven't got my head around this season. But what we have actually learned about West Ham in the last few weeks is that if they have their full strength team available to them, they're not conceding goals. So we're looking at a team here that have had 2 5-goal maulings, yet actually they're one of the most reliable teams in the division keeping clean sheets, weirdly. So
in the last few weeks,
in the past few weeks, Arsenal 2-0, Man United 2-0, Wolves 3-0. That's a pretty good record. And you look at it now thinking, okay, well, do I need to be considering them? Because they got Brighton at home, Sheffield United away, Bournemouth at home coming up. If this is a trend, I'm thinking, hang on, which West Ham defender would I go for? I haven't got any West Ham players. They're 6th in the league. David Moyes is going to get a new contract. So that's been confusing. Arsenal have not earned my trust at all. All those opportunities or they're getting the ball into the box as many times as they did, and it's no goal threat. So I would be coming, I'm glad I haven't got any of their attacking assets. It's been a risk, but I'm not tempted to go and get any of them right now. So it's all a bit strange. I mean, I guess the conundrum that I'm looking forward to in 2024 is is this the start of something for Højlund at Man United? Like, I've been waiting for that breakthrough moment. It's taken over 1,000 minutes to happen. But the way he took it does make you think, okay, that could be something. That could be something. He's got 2 decent fixtures coming up as well, Man United, one in the Cup and one in the league. And, you know, Wigan and Nottingham Forest are an opportunity to build on that confidence for him. So I'm looking towards that. And Garnacho as one of the best value players potentially in the game as well once we get to the new year.
Yeah, interesting with Garnacho. He's so big on shots. Huge numbers he's been putting up this season. Greedy, and we like that in FPL. Big man, what were your sort of major headlines? Brighton with 4 goals, Chelsea 1, City's 3-1 win we should probably talk about because Alvarez is getting a lot of love in the community. Foden, obviously, there's a few on him like me. What are you thinking around Haaland and Alvarez and Foden and the need for Man City players? We're hoping we get a double game week announcement, but that feels very unlikely for that double 25 that we're going to get that pre-game week 20 deadline, right?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of what happened at the weekend, I think Newcastle's loss was very surprising because they're very good at home. So for Forest to go there and score 3 and put up very good XG numbers was that surprising. And again, Newcastle just seem to be running on fumes at the moment, which again doesn't bode well for them when they travel to Anfield this week. Now, it's an interesting discussion because I know you have Darwin and a lot of people are captaining Salah for similar reasons. But when you come to City look fine. And I do expect a big win for Manchester City. I think they will go on a run from now on in. And when you look at their projections, bookmaker projections for goals this week, City are projected to score nearly 4 goals, which is almost the highest any team has been projected to score this season. So for someone like myself, not owning any City is scary. Not owning any City attack against Sheffield United at home is very scary. But again, Darwin is my route to Alvarez, so that's the trade-off that I have to make, especially at a time now where the value of free transfers is very precious, because in the weeks to come we will be addressing the likes of Heung-min Son, Salah. We'll have to probably buy Haaland back by 22, I think, if not in 21.
Yeah.
So if you're sort of making a short-term transfer for Alvarez, then there is a lot of over dependency on him to absolutely fire this week, which could pay off, but it's very difficult to sort of gauge. And I think this is a very pivotal point in my season because the swing either way could be big.
It's a big dilemma for you, Alvarez, Darwin. Knowing when you bring Alvarez in, Dean, what's your take there? Like, we know De Bruyne is going to be... Game week 21 doesn't come till mid-January. There is a chance De Bruyne is going to be in the matchday squad in 21. He probably isn't going to be ready to start, but by 22 at the end of January, De Bruyne could be up and running and starting games. For me, when De Bruyne and Haaland are in the 11, which we're going to see a ton from the end of January onwards, Alvarez is probably not. He's vulnerable. He's way more vulnerable than a Foden, who can play left, play right, play 9, play 10. Alvarez, when De Bruyne and Haaland are in the team, is probably first bench option. And therefore, if you're buying him now, it's a nice short-term punt because he's got Sheffield United. He's on penalties. You could captain him. And by the way, 36% of the poll are looking at captain a Man City player. But it does feel like a transfer out waiting to happen.
It does, yeah. By the way, sorry about my connection here. I'm at my parents' house and their Wi-Fi is clearly not that good. So if I'm a bit shaky, then that's why I've seen a few comments.
Your audio is crisp. Your audio is good.
Audio, just listen to me. Maybe I'll turn the camera off in a minute. You can just listen to me. Look, Alvarez is probably going to be my captain this weekend because there's a chance for me. Well, if I'm going to try and make up some headway here, like I've got to make some decisions along the way that are going to potentially give me an edge. And I just think that Alvarez is my route to that this weekend. Like, he's got a bit of a high like if you're looking at percentages of goal scorers this weekend, then Alvarez 1 or 2. Like if you were to rank them all. And I think that it's just something I need to make the most of. The fact I stuck with him was enough in itself because I thought about getting rid of him, but I've stuck with him. So with Haaland definitely not playing and De Bruyne not being ready to come back, I might as well make the most of having him. So I do think I'll probably captain Alvarez for this game week. Deep into Jan, like I imagine that Alvarez eventually gets phased out a little bit. He's played a lot of games across the course of this season. more than he's ever played before in the Premier League. So you would imagine he'll start to be rotated anyway at some point. But we also need to consider that Man City are still very likely to go on and win this league. And so once they've got by the end of next month, they'll have De Bruyne, Haaland, Doku, and John Stones all back in the mix. That is ridiculous. Like they're gonna hit some proper form. And Alvarez, even if he's coming off the bench, even if he's playing 60 minutes, is going to be getting probably more goals again. So that's another thing that I'm going to have to weigh up as to whether I ditch him or someone like a Solanke or Watkins, because there's still going to be a temptation. Maybe I do go for two up top, Alvarez and Haaland.
I mean, it's harder. In a way, it's easier to buy a forward because there's managers out there that own a Darwin, and you might question whether or not he starts, and you could be thinking, I was ready to offload Darwin now anyway. Big man, are you looking at Alvarez over Foden because you think it's easier to buy Alvarez because you're perhaps up for selling a Darwin, but actually when you look at your midfield five, you're not up for selling them? Because for me, if you can get to say a Foden from a Gordon, I'd prefer that move. I mean, the entry point is brilliant for both Alvarez and Foden. Who do you prefer?
For me, Johnny, I'm looking for if I'm buying Alvarez, I'm looking for a captaincy punt. It makes no sense for me to go there and not captain Alvarez if I'm buying him, right?
Yeah, but you wouldn't captain Foden if you bought him?
Yes, exactly. Which is why I prefer Alvarez this week. And I do think that Foden is a very convenient buy once you're selling Son and Salah. So I don't really have to go out of my way to force him in this week. That's my thinking. And yes, I sort of agree with Dean's point. If he has Alvarez, I think you just have to go there with the captaincy. I mean, this could be a trouncing, and you just have to hope you get some returns and get lucky. Because I mean, at the end of the day, yes, Newcastle have been poor, and I do expect Liverpool to score 2 goals, maybe 3 at Anfield. They're generally decent there, but Salah has a higher chance of blanking as opposed to Alvarez. I do think a City attacker has the higher ceiling.
Such a tough one this week. I look forward to speaking.
It's just a question of weighing up whether the upside of the captaincy of an Alvarez captaincy this week is worth a potential transfer in and out. That's the tough thing to figure out, because if Alvarez blanks and if Liverpool go off, if let's say Salah and Darwin bang, then it's a significant point swing and it's a big loss. So this is the variance I'm sort of trying to weigh up in my head, and it's a very tough decision. I honestly.
Let's stick with the theme of captaincy then, seeing as we're there. Look, Foden and Alvarez have 2 days rest between fixtures. It's a Wednesday, Saturday turnaround. I think for Aston Villa, it's 3 days for Watkins. Son has 2 days between his fixtures. Saladin, 5 days. I think he plays Tuesday and then he plays on the Monday, right, against Newcastle. Do we therefore go Salah's the best candidate? 1, because he has more rest. 2, because Newcastle, when we look at the teams, all 4 of those assets or 5 of those assets play against, Watkins, Son, Foden, Alvarez, they play against teams that have been okay defensively, like Bournemouth defensive numbers in the last 2 have been good. When we look at Burnley's defensive numbers in the last couple, not too bad. They've conceded 2 goals in the last 2. They beat Fulham 2-0. Foden, Alvarez playing Sheffield United, who actually under Wilder in the last 2 games have only conceded 1.49 XG. 4 goals though, but looking more solid under Wilder. While Salah plays Newcastle, who in the last 2 games have conceded an expected goals of 5. They've conceded 4 and XGC against them 4.95. Newcastle on the ropes. Salah's well rested. It's at Anfield. He is the obvious captain, no?
No, it's tough because you talk about people having breaks in between matches, and well, Newcastle's defence is going to have had that too, and they've probably got time to refocus. And the one thing that Eddie Howe is going to be absolutely adamant on here is that you are difficult to beat. He knows what they're up against here. It's obviously Salah's last game before he goes off to AFCON, so he'll be looking to go out for bang. So you can throw that factor in as well as to whether he's a good captaincy opportunity. But I just don't know, where 3 defeats in a row. Obviously, one of them's on penalties to Chelsea, but that is it's obviously too much to ignore. But do we really feel that Newcastle are going to be this poor again and again and again? or can you trust that they will just lock up shop here again and make that defense as hard to break down as it has been at times this season? The problem with that philosophy is that even if you run it deeper than those 3 games, you could look back and say, oh, yeah, I remember they beat Fulham 3-0, right? Well, Fulham had 10 men. Fulham actually, in that game, had opportunities to go 1-0 up, even with 10 men, right? And I genuinely believe, and I'm biased, but I think Fulham would have got something out of that game in different circumstances. So you take it again beyond that Fulham match. Well, they lost the 3 matches before that one as well. AC Milan, they conceded twice. Tottenham scored 4 against them. Everton scored 3 times against them. So you're looking like the last 6 matches, the way you actually properly assess them, they've lost all of them and they've conceded loads of goals.
Yep.
And so you have to be like, okay, yeah, so Salah rested. Salah with his last game before AFCON. Liverpool looking to, really a really important fixture for Liverpool to assert authority over Newcastle in terms of a points difference, but also on the Premier League in terms of getting staying in the mix in the top 3 and going for the title. Salah is like a high probability of being the guy that makes the breakthrough here. And Newcastle, this is a trend. Like if you look across those 6 games, this is a trend, and they have collapsed. And Liverpool are the sort of team at home that will make the most of it. Even if you look at Liverpool's matches when they struggle to make that breakthrough, again, so you use Fulham as an example. That day, Fulham played so well defensively. Liverpool scored 4 bangers. Like they've got the opportunities to score from distance as well as carving out opportunities. And so I'm saying I'm going to go Alvarez. If I didn't have Alvarez, I would be going Mo Salah.
Big man, I reckon you're going to go Mo Salah, aren't you? Because, if you buy Alvarez, that could change. But as things stand, your team Mo Salah, I know you will be. With the 5-day rest, you'll like that.
Yeah, it's going to be Alvarez if I buy, and if I don't, then it's going to be Salah. I'm not really considering Son. I don't really like him as much playing on the left. It's not. I mean, Bournemouth have improved. Yeah, fair. But the main reason why I don't really like Son is because on the left, yes, I know he got that 17-point haul against Newcastle. But I would
when Richarlison was off the pitch and he moved central for the last 20 minutes in that game as well. So we only got 1 assist in that game on the left.
I would much rather have Son playing through the middle, honestly. And it just feels to me that Salah's upside is bigger. And it would basically be Alvarez, Salah, Son, Watkins, probably in that order for me, if I was sort of making a pecking order of captaincy this week.
If you buy Alvarez, for you, because you're buying him and you're using a transfer and you're selling a good player, you're sure if you do buy Alvarez, though, you will captain Alvarez. You'd only be 100%. Buying him to captain him. Yeah.
100%. Or otherwise, I won't buy.
Yeah. People always say to me with questions like, should I buy this player for a hit? And my question when you're buying, like, there'll be people out there buying Alvarez for a hit this week. My answer to them will be, don't buy him for a hit if you're not going to captain him, but buy him for a hit if you think he is the best captain this game week. Like, I'm always up for taking a hit if you're bringing in someone you're going to give the armband to. And I know you're not taking a hit, but effectively every transfer is worth 4 points because somewhere down the line you'll take a hit. So that's fair. With Salah though, do you look at Newcastle and go, well, they've also had a longer rest, and now Botman and Schär are back fit. They will be a bit more solid defensively, or are they just going through a bad time? We know Trippier's going through a bad time, clearly. Dubravka in goal is no Nick Pope. That is still a high ceiling fixture for Liverpool, isn't it?
It is. And that's why it feels risky, because Darwin and Salah could just pop off. I mean, Darwin is an equally good option as well.
Darwin.
I mean, I think he'll start. He played really well. I think he's safe. He scored as well. I know Jota is back, Diaz is back, but I don't really see Darwin getting benched. I think he's, after Salah, he's probably the guy highest in the pecking order. I think he's higher than Gakpo as well. But coming to your point regarding the hit, I mean, this transfer in particular feels like a hit, even if I'm doing it for free, because it's a transfer booked in later, so it better come off, or otherwise you'll be in big trouble. That's the risk you sort of have to run.
Does feel like in the chat the audience is split. You chasers, we saw the first poll we did, slightly edging it is Salah, then it's the Man City lads, then I think it's Son, then Watkins. But it is going to be split this week, and that does make FPL more fun. I like that. We've also done a poll around what you'll do with Salah and Son, and selling both is around 50% of you, and around the other 47% of you are looking to sell one of them. 7% might not sell either. We obviously have a few that are worried about things like team value and stuff like that. Guys, we're going to see our teams in just a minute. If you fancy hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel, that'd be amazing. We've got loads of new watchers and loads of lurkers out there that love hitting that like button every now and then. If you fancy hitting it more regularly, then please do. We've also got a super chat. Dean, I'm going to come to you on this. We need to speak about defenders. There's a few names of choice at the minute. Moreno at Villa has caught my eye. Now Luca Dean's injured, and Moreno is a brilliant left back. Gusto was great for Chelsea in the week, got the assist. Arguably Chelsea's best player in the week. And Trent is obviously flavour of the month, and we know exactly why. Bonus points beast. What are you thinking? Would you move to a Trent or a Gusto? Like, if you can afford it, Trent is invaluable at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, it says funds are not a problem there. So if funds are not a problem, then by all means get to Trent. I mean, the reason I didn't go to Trent was because I wanted to have the Haaland money in the bank to get him for this Sheffield United game. Hasn't proved out to be a great choice because Haaland's not ready to come back. So I kind of wish last week I had gone there and got Trent. I see people like you celebrating the rewards that you got from taking that punt. And it's a difficult one here because Trent against Newcastle was exactly the sort of player that could unlock the door. So that's where I'd be looking primarily. But if you was somebody who didn't have the same funds there available, then Gusto definitely is a great option. Like, a really good player. He proved that anyway the last time that Reece James was out. I thought that Gusto was finding his feet well in the league. And yeah, I think he's a really trustworthy option. And I think Chelsea are going to improve. Having Nkunku in that front line is going to make them more difficult to stop. And I think there'll just be a bit more intelligence now about this Chelsea team. Now that Lavia's settling in to the side and getting his first run out, you got Nkunku there. I just think you're going to start to see a slightly different dynamic to the Chelsea lineup. And that Gusto, if he can get forward, he'll actually have people that can actually finish the chances, whereas Nicholas Jackson is probably not trusted.
Oh, definitely not. I'm so glad he didn't take the penalty. Thank you, Madueke, for stepping up. There is rumours, Dean, that Lavia picked up a knock and could be injured. So
is there really?
Honestly, the guys, I'm surprised. Knowing his injury record, I was surprised. I wonder if Chelsea have had a bit of a howler there, and he's always going to be a sick note, and you spend that money on a player that's just never going to be fit.
Mate, that's a disaster. That is a disaster if he's genuinely out.
Honestly. I don't know if it's Poch. I don't know if Poch is half the problem with his training methods, but Chelsea players.
Oh, mate, that's part of the thing with Reece James, isn't it? I was speaking to someone that has relatively good insight around Chelsea, and they were like, Reece James just isn't well suited to Pochettino's intensity and frequency of training sessions. And, you already see his body type, and when he has to play in that certain style and that has that expectation put on him to work to that levels of degree, it's really difficult. I don't know if there are other people in that squad that find that same difficulty, but you would imagine anyone that comes back from injury is going to find it hard to live up to Pochettino's expectations.
Yeah, one to monitor there. Thank you for the super chat, AM. Final point on a defender then, big man. Well, before we see your team in just a sec, it's a good entry point for Stupinan as well this week. Like, Brighton are top of the ticker pretty much for fixtures over the next 5-6 game weeks. And what a worldy goal we saw.
Crazy goal for sure. But I mean, he's only played 45 minutes. I think it might come a bit too early. I think if you're buying a defender this week, I mean, Trent is obviously spoken about him. If it's not Trent, I would suggest Walker actually, because City's run of fixtures from now on in is really good. And they've actually been given a 67% chance of keeping a clean sheet this week, which is, I think it's probably the highest probability of a clean sheet I've seen this season in a particular game.
This is actually what I've done for my transfer this week. I have brought in Kyle Walker. Yeah, I have. Yeah, so it's interesting you're saying that.
Yeah, it's a really good transfer because City are likely to double in game week 25 as well. So it sort of sets you up for the double too. I think if I was picking the optimal 3 City for the double game week, it would probably be Haaland, Foden, and Walker. So yeah, good transfer.
Interesting, like that. Let's do a poll. Pick one differential-ish defender: Walker, Estupinan, Moreno, or Gusto. Obviously, relative to their price. So give Gusto a little bit more credit in the bank than say a Walker because you're spending less on him. But in terms of value, pick one. I think I'd be Walker. I think Moreno would probably be number two. I love Moreno's attacking threat, especially knowing we're now going to see Konza back at right back. It's like when Konza does play right back, not Matty Cash, it's like, okay, the left back gets even more license. And Moreno, unlike Dean, will be a little bit more efficient, I think. But look, let's answer the super chat from William. Thank you, William, for supporting the channel. Likes and subscribes are great, but so are super chats. Cheers, team. Bench one, Garnacho and Kunku, Solanke, Palmer, Saka. You're going to see some big benching headaches from my team and Big Man's team in just a second. I'll just answer this, and then we'll come to Big Man's team, and hopefully you'll get a little bit of help with your benchings. You can't bench Solanke versus Emerson Royale and Ben Davies at centre back. They've just conceded 4. Palmer and Saka are both away. I think I'm benching Saka over Palmer. That's the question I've got in my team. It's one of those two I'm benching. I don't think I'd bench Nkunku now he's playing 90, or could play 90. Garnacho would still probably be the guy I looked at out of all of those assets. And of course, Garnacho and Nkunku aren't on pens. We don't think Nkunku is. I think I'd go Garnacho. Big Man, I'll come to you to see your team, but just quickly, would you Garnacho away at Forest? Would that be your answer too?
Yeah. I think the Forest are playing better under Nuno as well, and they're actually a decent side at home. So I think I would bench Garnacho on the ones. I would definitely not bench Solanke, Palmer, and Saka. Yeah. So I think Nkunku's better than Garnacho.
Yeah. Here we go. This is your team from the week just gone. I don't know if we've got your team in terms of how it's set for game week 20. God, I'm getting confused. There's been so many game weeks. 18, 19, 20 have all been in like the space of 8-9 days. I think we can probably show how you're set for game week 20. But how are you shaping up?
So I have Saliba on the bench. I'm playing Gabriel, Trent. In goal, I'm playing Areola over Dubravka. In defense, I have Trent, Gabriel, and Porro. I'm benching Saliba. I'm benching Taylor. In midfield, I have Saka, Son, Salah, Palmer, and I have Gordon on the bench. And it's a front three: Darwin, Solanke, Watkins. So it's either going to be safe with the Salah captain, or it's going to be Alvarez in for Darwin with Alvarez captain. And I'm not sure which route to take.
Yeah. So just to confirm, you're going to play Dubravka over Areola. You're going to bench one of your Arsenal defenders.
Areola over Dubravka.
Oh, you will play. Okay, so Areola in terms of Dubravka. And the Arsenal defenders, you'll bench one, right?
I'm benching Saliba, yeah.
And then
play Porro, Gabriel, Trent.
An attacking 8. Who's your sub?
Gordon.
That's an easy one for you this week.
Yeah. It's a very easy one. I'm actually sort of kind of lucky to be in a position where my bench is not that strong that I'm considering and contemplating a bench boost this week, because a lot of people actually are who have strong benches, because it's sort of come along naturally with the Haaland money. A lot of people have upgraded their 8th attacker. They have a decent defense this week. For example, people have the likes of Konza on the bench. Some people are benching Solanke, which seems crazy at this point looking at how Spurs are defending, but it is what it is. And yeah, these are the sort of risks you have to manage when you have a good squad.
If you did bench boost, would it be worth taking a 4-point hit to improve the squad overall, but also improve the bench boost? I wonder if, for those on Areola and Dubravka like me, the rotation is all right. Like the next couple you play Areola, then when West Ham's fixtures turn, you play Dubravka again. You could go Dubravka to someone like Araya. Oh, no, you can't. Sorry, you've got triple Arsenal. Would you consider a goalkeeper transfer?
No, I don't think I would. I mean, not for a 4-point hit, because essentially you're giving out the 4 points that you're gaining this week. So I would do it probably if I had 2 frees, but I don't think a lot of people would be in that position, because a lot of people have more pressing transfers to make.
Yeah, fair enough. Dean, thoughts on Big Man's team?
Yeah, I like it. One thing I was just going to address at the same time, though, Michael Smith says, why is everyone overlooking Watkins as a captain against a very leaky Burnley? I mean, personally, it's just because I've been burned 3 times this season on Watkins. I think 2 blanks and then maybe 1 assist along the way. But what is it, Big Man, that would turn you off of giving Watkins the captaincy and what looks like a pretty much a banker of a win for Villa?
It's the penalties, basically. I mean, Salah, Son, Alvarez, all these guys are on penalties, and I generally like going with the guy who has penalties. So it's basically that. That is why I just rate all of those three just a notch higher in the pecking order. I do expect Villa to come back, and at home they're very, very strong. So yeah, I mean, if I was to guess, Watkins gets 8 or 9 points minimum this week. So he's a good captain, for sure.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting. That one, I think that's going to be a lot of people's predicament. Too Legitimate says Bowen or Foden to bring in this week. I mean, you don't have either of those players, big man, so it's probably a good one for you to answer because you could literally just say which one of those players you would be most tempted to bring in, and if you had to bring one this game week.
It's tough. It's very tough. I think I would probably go with Bowen because no dunk. And I think Bowen could be on penalties as well. Now that Ben Rama's missed one, now that
Oh,
Paqueta
yeah.
is injured, I
Oh,
think Bowen
nice.
will be on penalties
Yeah,
That's a good
this
point,
week.
yeah.
So
yeah. We know Ward
I
Prowse
think,
won't. He's terrible at pens, isn't he? Like Ward Prowse is better at free kicks than penalties.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I would go with Bowen actually, if picking one this week. The next three for West Ham are, I mean, they're incredible fixtures. Brighton at home, then Sheffield United away, then Bournemouth at home. I mean, Bowen could get a lot of points in these weeks. I'm actually very jealous of all those people who have Bowen in their teams.
I'm a bit
Yeah.
jealous of those that have Gordon because you've got an easy bencher this week.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hate the benching. I hate the benching headaches. And like, we had such a super chat about one, didn't we? Like, we're going to get a ton. If we were to go through, let's just look at your team. Let's take Gordon out of the equation and put in. Let's Palmer's in your 11. So swap Gordon with Palmer on the graphic we can see. And if you were having to bench Palmer, Saka, or Solanke, how would you rank them? I'll come to you, Dean, and then you, big man, on those. So how would you order Solanke, Saka, and Palmer in terms of on the bench? Which one you would bench first, which one you would never bench, and which one you might bench in 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wouldn't bench Solanke. I think that's nailed on. Palmer, it's Luton, isn't it, for Chelsea?
Luton away,
yeah,
though,
I mean,
Chelsea. Is Luton away?
yeah, but it's Luton, and even though they have definitely surprised me this season, you have to fancy Palmer just has this edge to him that I admire so much. He's so good. He's so good. And even if Chelsea underperform and lose to Luton, I would still count on Palmer having points capability. Saka, I don't know what we'll get from him against Fulham. I really don't like. I think if I was going to bench one of those three, it's Saka, which seems very risky for me to say as he's playing against my team. And he definitely has the potential to rip our fullbacks apart. But actually, Fulham do tend to do a pretty good job on players like him this season. So, yeah, I think it would be Saka definitely to bench. Palmer would make it, and Solanke is a no-brainer to stay.
I like that. I think that's the same order. FPL Chai, actually. No, he's gone Saka number 1, Solanke 2, Palmer 3. FPL Chai is world number 10, everyone. He's in the chat, so he's proper active in the chat. He's a regular chaser. Do feel free if you've got a question. I'm sure he'd drop an answer. But also, FPL Chai today, in fact, only about an hour ago, uploaded his first ever YouTube video. So when you click on FPL Chai, you actually click. It'll load a new window. You can subscribe, and then you can come back to Chasing Green Arrows. And at the end of the show, you can go and watch FPL Chai's team selection for Game Week 20 and subscribe to his channel because a new upcoming content creator. He's brilliant value on YouTube, a smiley, happy guy full of charisma. I guarantee you'll enjoy his videos. He's also a quality manager. He's 10th in the world, and he's not owned Haaland all season. I'm sure that will change at some point very soon. Big man, what would your order be first? I am currently benching Saka, but my dilemma is Saka versus Palmer. I'm definitely starting Solanke for me.
I think my order would be the same as FPL Chai. I think I would definitely play Saka, and it would be between Palmer and Solanke. I think it's very close between them. But just considering the fact that Luton at home are half decent and Chelsea aren't exactly very reliable, I think I would probably go with Solanke over Palmer, although that could go either way. And I sort of realized that Palmer is an exceptional player who could get points. So it's a very tough one. But yeah, I would definitely play Saka though. I think he's a notch higher above Solanke and Palmer.
Oh,
Gee, do
dude.
you think
Oh,
Palmer
yeah.
still takes pens?
Yeah, because he's 4 from 4 plus I think one in the shootouts. He might be 5 from 5. I can't remember, but I think he's got a miss till he comes off. I think it'd be really tough to put Nkunku on them over him.
Yeah.
Palmer has also had that Boxing Day fixture, 27th, whenever it was for Chelsea,
Yeah.
off. So he's had a little mini rest as well.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Yeah, I just
What
wondered
do you
if
think to
Nkunku
Fulham
is
though?
clearly
Versus
good.
yeah, and Nkunku's record's great as well, isn't it? What going back to Saka, Dean, against Fulham at Craven Cottage, defensively, you predicted well. I was thinking about captaining Solanke, and actually a Solanke captain over a Salah captain would have been good. Solanke got 6, but he didn't have much joy against the Fulham centre-backs, and you kind of called it. Against Forest, Solanke had a lot of fun in the air, right? And you were like, against Tosin and Bassi, he probably won't. And watching the highlights, Solanke didn't have much joy from crosses. I want to know your thoughts on how the Fulham defence will handle Saka and how he might or might not have joy, seeing as you predicted the Solanke one so well.
Yeah, well, what I said was like Fulham, when we're giving up goals, they're going from distance. We saw that regularly the Liverpool game. We saw that in the Burnley game. And then the Bournemouth game was a bit, we were just off all over the park and we were letting people run through the middle. So it was a difficult one to gauge exactly, but I would be pretty confident with somebody like Jesus. I know it sounds stupid to say. But somebody, what the biggest worry from a Fulham point of view with Arsenal will be someone like Odegaard, because of the sort of positions that he picks up from knockdowns in the box, from just down on the edge of the box. That is exactly the sort of area that Fulham are not sharp enough in a lot of the time. If Palhinha's like bang on his game, then a lot of that threat goes away. But the last 2 games, Palhinha's probably had his worst 2 games he's ever had for Fulham.
Pushing for a move.
I don't know what it is, but I mean, he's just not been as good as he usually is. And if he's not on his game against Arsenal, then that is going to be a scary prospect for us because we just won't be able to handle them. Well, we played against Arsenal towards the beginning of the season. We drew 2-2. Palhinha was outstanding. Like, Arsenal dominated the match, but he covered every blade of grass. His like reading of the game was ridiculous. He outshone Declan Rice that day, and it was just such a good, strong performance. But if he doesn't do that, then somebody like Odegaard will be a great own for this game week.
I like that. Good insight. I think I'm veering on benching Palmer over Saka, but it's such a tough one. It'll go down to the deadline. Big man, just to finally end up on your team then. Percentage chance of you making the Darwin out, Alvarez in transfer? Where's your head at? Is it 50-50?
It is a 50-50, genuinely, because I keep going back and forth, honestly. And even in the afternoon, I was considering maybe I'll roll after the news that Haller might not be in the squad at all. I'm sort of saying that, yeah, it could be a transfer, and if I'm lucky, I could get Burnley in Gameweek 22. So I keep moving back and forth. I'll see. I'll sleep on it, and I'll see what I decide tomorrow. I'm really not sure, actually.
You think when Salah goes to AFCON, there's a little bit more in terms of expected minutes from Darwin? I know Jota will be back fit, starting games, but the reliance on his first choice, and without Salah there, maybe even Darwin steps up a little bit. I don't know. You can build the narrative to suit your agenda with FPL all the time, but I do quite like that one.
It could happen, and there could be an outside chance of him having penalties as well. So,
yeah, has he got a 100% record or something? He's like 11 from 11 or something. Although Sabotkai and McAllister are amazing records too.
But the thing is that I'll be selling Darwin in Gameweek 21 or 22 anyway, so I'm not really giving his expected minutes a lot of weightage after Salah leaving for AFCON, because Darwin is a sell for me in Gameweek 21 or 20. I'm not going to sell Solanke, and I'm not going to sell Watkins.
Yeah.
I think both of them are long-term holds. So for me, it's purely a decision for this week only. And yeah, it's just one of those horrible 50-50 ones where you might just look back in hindsight that, you should have played it out better. But yeah, it's simply a very close call.
Yeah. There's a point here from Juntao, future plans for Salah and Son next week, taking them both out. And for who? I mean, even on my normal Ranks FC podcast, we're getting questions at the moment about, what to do with this, because people are so Yeah, genuinely, like a few people are like, we need FPL advice right now. Like, what do we do? Like, two of the best players and like in everyone's team are about to leave the game for potentially a month. What do we
Foden and
do?
Bowen. Foden and Bowen.
Foden and Bowen leaving.
Foden and
Genuinely,
Bowen.
easy.
But yeah, do you
Yeah.
think Foden and Bowen would be the covers for Son and Salah over that period, or are they...
I think Bowen will be the standout player who's going to be bought next week, especially considering their fixture. They're playing Sheffield United away next week, and keeping an eye on the captaincy for next week. Let's say if Haaland isn't like fully fit, or even if he's fit and we expect him to get like limited minutes, it's Newcastle away. It's not the easiest fixture. Saka has Crystal Palace at home. Bowen has Sheffield United away. Now Bowen could be an outside captaincy shout next week. So I
Wow.
think Bowen will be very, very, very popular.
That is interesting. Yeah, I think you're right. And if you've already got a Foden like me, maybe it's, I don't know, and you've got that third Arsenal spot. If they impress against Fulham, you could jump on an Odegaard. Richarlison will get a bit of love. I mean, he only got 1 point, Richarlison. He did hit the post. It could have been very different for him last night. Is worth noting, again, and I keep saying this with Richarlison, know when you buy him, you're not buying a 90-minute man. The guy always gets hooked at like mid-70s, which is slightly depressing. Brennan Johnson, another option in the Spurs attack. But let's move on. Dean, talk us through your team. I think we'll probably see your team with points from last week. So talk us through how you're set for this week.
Yeah, so this week I have, let me just get it up on my phone actually. Gordon is dropped down to the bench.
Yeah.
The front three stays as it is. That Diaby gamble getting him in last week really was a gamble and it didn't pay off at all. But I'll stick with him probably just because it's Burnley and I'm hoping
Good
he gets some
fixture.
more minutes. Yeah, it's a good fixture. So my midfield will be Diaby, Son, Palmer and Salah. And my back three now is Gabriel, Pedro Porro, and Kyle Walker. And I'll probably go with Turner over Dubravka, even though Turner is playing against Man United. I'm like giving Dubravka like a 5% chance of getting anything from that Liverpool game. And look, Man United going to Nottingham Forest. It should be a Man United win, but there's absolutely no way I'm trusting that sort of hunch and could quite easily be a Nottingham Forest 1-0 win or something. So I'm going to take a punt on that one and give Turner the benefit of the doubt.
And captaincy, pretty set on Alvarez, aren't you?
Yeah, I've already given him the armband. Alvarez definitely going to be my captain.
Yeah, I like that. And your transfer out was Simicas or Lascelles? For
Simicast has gone first for Walker.
Good
Yeah,
shout.
I've left the sales for now, but he'll probably be going soon.
I like that. We've still got to do your team, guys. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere because you're going to be making the decision on the Chaser team. If you're new around here, the Chaser team is a team built by the CGA audience. The transfers, the captaincy, everything is dictated by you guys, led by our admin in the chat, CH. So thank you, CH, and you can help us shape our team this week. Let's have a quick look at my team and how I'm set up. I've already spoken about it lots in terms of where I'm at with bench and dilemmas. So just to give you the top line, like I'll have Areola in goal, Dubravka benched. The back three is the back three you'll see on screen there, Pedro Porro, Trent and Gabriel. The big question is, out of my 8 attackers, who do you bench? I don't have a dead spot or an Archer, a Mabama, or even a Gordon, who for many this week will be first sub. My 8th attacker, if you like, or go off price point, is Palmer. It will be Palmer or Saka on my bench. I simply cannot fathom a Solanke benching after watching Spurs concede 4 to Brighton without Romero. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Eric Dyer come in, but even then, Solanke can have fun. But Eric Dyer, clearly, if Postecoglou thinks Emerson Royale is a better centre-back than him, it shows how out of favour Dyer is. Yeah, it'll be Saka or Palmer. It'll be one of those two. And captaincy, I'm completely 50-50 on Salah versus Foden. I like the fact that Salah has the extra days rests, like 5 days rest, Foden. But I can't help but see past the ceiling of Man City's potential score against Sheffield United. As Big Man said earlier, the bookmakers haven't predicted many games, if any, teams to score 4. Yet Man City are predicted like 3.85 or something like that goals, more than any other. So Foden could become the captain. The appeal there, or the thing that turns me away from Foden, I should say, is I don't have penalties. And I do get it why people are captain Alvarez. Again, we saw Alvarez get more points than Foden against Everton. Who was player of the match? Foden. Who could have scored more goals in terms of big chances? Foden missed a big chance. He hit the woodwork. He forced a good save from Pickford. That's 3 opportunities outside of his goal. Alvarez gets a scuffed penalty that just passes Pickford's feet and goes in. He created and played all right, Alvarez. A good pick. Foden's the shining light in that City team, the heartbeat when he plays central. Is he a better FPL asset? Maybe not, because Alvarez is on the penalties, and it is the thing that swings it, right, big man?
Johnny, I think you'll end up going with Foden captain. I have a feeling.
I think you're probably right. I think I say 50-50. I'm probably 60-40 if I'm honest with myself. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And bench, who do you think you'll bench? Palmer most probably, or Saka?
I was on Saka until this stream. I'd say I was 60-40 Saka. Now I'm probably 50-50, having heard from you guys. I think the way Dean mentions Paulinho's form, which I wasn't familiar with, the way you mentioned how you would actually bench Solanke over Saka, I'm worried. I don't want to talk about EO and ownership because that's not how I usually or very rarely would even consider ownership when I play the game. I always think pick the player who gets most points and ownership's irrelevant. But I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't worried about the fact that Saka is in 50% of teams. Although, look, Palmer, in terms of who I'm playing against and actual FPL community teams, is probably a similar owned player. But overall ownership is, of course, much lower for Palmer.
Yeah, that's a good point. In my position, I assume you would advise me to roll, right? I don't think you're feeling the Alvarez cap as much as I am.
He's not as good, mate. Alvarez has been relying on open play goals in the last 10 game weeks. I think Alvarez has got 0, in the Premier League. So he's not on it like Foden at the moment. Foden's playing I don't think I've seen Foden play this well in the Man City shirt in a long time. Alvarez is playing fine, but he's not flying.
I mean, that's the thing. But just to play devil's advocate, he's only played 3 games as the starting striker.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, in the number 10 role, he doesn't seem to have as much goal threat. But number 9 on set pieces, on pens, Sheffield United. Yeah.
Yeah, Sheffield United's back 5. If Foden was playing out wide, by the way, I would be definitely captaining Salah. It's seeing Foden play central in the Club World Cup final. And I've been looking at the average position map and the pass map of that game and the Everton game. And it's the exact same setup. Foden really close to Alvarez, just off him, both central, but Foden getting triple the touches of Alvarez and double the goal threat, I think, in open play. That's what splits it, though. So, yeah, interesting one. Let's talk about the community team. And, guys, thank you so much for hitting that like button and subscribing today. Do keep clicking those buttons. Pleasure to have FPL Chai, who also, by the way, the world number 10, FPL Chai in the chat. Subscribe to his channel. He's also a Foden owner. And I think Chai will end up captaining Foden as well. He does put a comment saying, CH, Foden for me, mate. But I don't know what that's in response to. Is that who you would captain, or is that saying who's better? Oh, yeah, CH asks, who would you put the armband on given the choice? All right, Chai, answer this question. Who are you captaining this game week? If you don't mind telling us, completely appreciate if you want to keep it stum or if you want us to watch your team selection video on your channel. But if you fancy giving us a tease, then do. Chaser team, no idea what we're doing here, team. We need suggestions in the chat. I mean, it doesn't feel like there's a pressing transfer to make other than do we want to go for a Man City player? I guess it would mean selling Darwin. Couldn't we sell Gordon for Foden? I don't know how much money we've got in the bank. What do you reckon here, Dean?
Yeah, I mean, obviously Gordon's one that could go from the 11, but you can bring Palmer in. I guess it could leave you a little short if you've got Palmer and Garnacho in the starting 11. There's 2 of your midfielders. I mean, that could be a spot where you get caught short. And then obviously you've got the ordeal, I guess, these days of having Kieran Trippier in the team. Just not the same asset as he was at all. And I don't think that this is the week to expect a surprise haul from him. So it's the Newcastle players really that are going to cause the real dilemma. I would be looking to probably get rid of one of those from certainly the 11. And then with Lascelles on the bench as well, you're probably, if you're going to sell anyone, I'd be looking to sell probably one of those Newcastle assets.
Interesting. Yeah, loads in the chat saying Gordon to Bowen, Gordon to Bernardo, Gordon to Foden.
I think Bowen's a great one to be going for because, like,
I don't know if we can afford him. We've got
none of us.
2.4 million.
Can we not get
Palmer
there?
can come in for Gordon, right? We don't really have to sell Gordon.
Yeah, Palmer
because
can just come in
is
for Gordon. Yeah, that's true.
You have a good front seven. I think Trippier is more for priority to address.
Interesting. I know. Yeah, because we can bench Garnacho as our 8th attacker.
Trippier to Porro or Walker. Probably Walker, I think.
Walker probably. Yeah.
You would sell You would sell Trips over Lascelles, even though we've got 2.4 in the bank. Big man.
Yes, I think I would.
All right.
Because funds may be needed later. For example, to upgrade Gordon to Bowen later.
Yeah, I would also do that. I'd sell Trips. All right, let's do a poll. Forget about who we're buying for the time being. Are we selling Trippier, Gordon, or Darwin? You guys decide. In fact, it will almost certainly be for Man City player. It will be Trippier to Walker, I expect, but we will vote. It will be Gordon to either Bernardo or Foden, but we'll vote. Or Bowen, but I don't think we can afford Bowen. Dean, I don't know if you can do the maths. We've got 2.4 in the bank. I don't know if we can sell Gordon to Bowen. It'll be very tight. And I think if we're selling Darwin, it will be for Alvarez, right? So bearing in mind, it will be for likely be for a Man City player. You guys decide. I guess the other option is roll, but I don't think I think it's going to be too late to add that as an option. So let's just go with Trippier, Gordon, or Darwin. Who would you like to sell this week? I'm going to say Gordon out. Who would you say, big man? If you've said Trippier actually already, haven't you?
Yeah, Trippier to Walker for me.
I'd go Gordon to Foden. And
I mean, Gordon is 6.2. Gordon's 6.2 and Bowen is 7.9. So,
we probably can afford.
You can get there. It doesn't leave you much left over at the end of it, but you can definitely get there.
Our selling price for Gordon might be a little bit lower than 6.2 because we would have bought him a while ago, but it won't be that much different, will it?
No, not enough to make it impossible. Yeah.
And Dean, okay, so big man would go Trippier out. I would go Gordon out. Who would you go?
Honestly, you could toss a coin here, but I just like the idea of having Bowen. So I think this is a week when you can make the most of him still being on reasonably low ownership. So I'd get Gordon out and Bowen in.
Yeah, if Gordon is the sell, we would have a lot of options. It'd be Bowen, it would be Bernardo, a few have said, or Foden. Yeah, if it's Trippier or Darwin, it's pretty much Walker and Alvarez. I think that'll be pretty clear. It's tight. It's really tight between Trippier and Gordon, by the way. Is a Stupinan a good replacement for Trippier? Yeah, and maybe we'll put a Stupinan as an option. I think you'll vote Walker. We're on 59 votes. If we can get to 70, we'll cap it there, which still gives Gordon a chance. 62, and Gordon is coming closer and closer. Maybe you want some Foden love. Let's see how it runs. It's 41-40. It's like watching old school animated horse racing in the bookies.
You used to do that, did you?
Correct. It's 41%. We got 3 more votes. Where will you go, Trippier or Gordon? Oh my God.
It's tight. Nuclear's excited. This is the first time I'm seeing all 3 of them in one stream. Absolutely. It's an end of year treat, mate. That's what you're getting right here. 3 for the price of what? 3 for the price of G. Could have just been Gianni today, but we've turned up to help him out.
Thank you, Nuclear Atoms, for always supporting Chasing Green Arrows as well. We love you on this channel, and you're one of our key chasers as always. Trippier, 42%. We are selling Kieran Trippier, and you guys are going to vote for his replacement. So we have got a few options.
I suspect Walker will be. I suspect Porro will be popular, but I will go with Walker.
Porro. Porro. So should we do Porro, Walker, and Estupinan?
Yes, but I mean Porro's fixtures, clean sheet potential is quite questionable in the times to come with no Romero.
Yeah. Okay, let's chuck Estupinan, and if we can chuck Moreno in. Of course, Danny B wants Moreno, and I like Moreno. We can't go Gusto as well. We've got to cap it at 4 options. We'll let the poll run, and we'll answer some questions when the poll is running. We've got a couple more minutes to go, and we want to answer some big dilemmas for some. The shorter questions are more likely to make it on screen, team. We've still got a poll captaincy, so start thinking about captaincy. I'm guessing it's going to be Salah versus Solanke versus Watkins.
I think it'll be Salah, probably.
It's going to win outright.
Yeah, Salah will win out, especially with no Son. Salah will be the clear winner.
Yeah, mate. When we sold Son, he went and scored, got that 17 points. It was a nightmare, and it was all to bring Haaland back in. And we had just wildcarded Haaland out. It was the Chaser team has been an absolute nightmare this season. Next year we'll make it different.
Yeah, it's been a great example of how not to run an FPL team. It really has. It's all the not to dos, and we're testing it all out here, and it's being proven week after week.
Estupinan has absolutely blown everyone out the park. 50% of the vote to Estupinan, only 18% to Kyle Walker. Estupinan, welcome to the Chaser team, and welcome to another set of 45 minutes from De Zerbi at the weekend. All right, let's go Estupinan. All right, let's quickly do a captaincy poll. Salah, Solanke, Watkins. Who should we do as option 4, big man?
Saka, I guess.
Yeah, go on then. You'd go Saka over Darwin?
Probably, yeah. I would.
Ooh, interesting. So you would bench Darwin over Saka as well, if you and me?
Yes, I would.
Oh, would you bench Darwin or Palmer?
Probably Palmer.
Dean, Darwin or Palmer? Or Saka?
Yeah. I would always choose to bench Darwin. You know that.
Oh, mate, this is why I preach all season about not having a good 8th attacker. I'm always like, buy Cameron Archer, have a crap 8th attacker. I say it every week, don't I? We get these questions: should I bench Solanke or Saka? And I'm like, dude, why have you got a good 8th attacker? That's a bad way of playing FPL. You're giving yourself a headache every week. And here I am.
Miss out on points along the way, yeah.
I blame the blank game week that Man City had, and I had Foden benched, and I needed to improve the squad, and Haaland was out, and I had money. Oh, I can't. Yeah. There we go. Salah is captain, by the way. 55% have gone there.
Obs.
Yeah, obs. I've enjoyed that. That was a good chat. Big man, what your
mate?
final
You've done
thoughts?
well. I mean, your brain must be on fire after going through all that.
Yeah, the Chaser team is always a nightmare. We'll post the Chaser team on Twitter, guys, and you can let us know perhaps some forward planning and forward thinking. Big man, how are you feeling after the last couple of game weeks? It's been intense, hasn't it? And we're about to hit a little bit of a dry spell after this week, aren't we?
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to a bit of a break because it's been very intense. The past 7 game weeks or 8 game weeks have come within a span of 35, 40 days. So it's been one after the another. It's been very, very draining as a FPL content creator. So yeah, I am actually looking forward to a break, and I hope I can go into the break on a green arrow, because this sort of seems like that kind of week where if I get a wrong decision or end up on the wrong side of variance, I don't want to be sweating it for too long. And unfortunately, the next game week is too far away, so it is absolutely critical that I end on a green arrow this week.
Yeah, I like that. Mid-January, Dean, is the next game week after this. Seems crazy that game week 21 is mid-January and game week 22 is end of Jan. We've got 2 game weeks in January. That's it.
Yeah, it's the G Dean derby, mate. Chelsea v Fulham that weekend. So it'll be the early game on the Saturday. I will be going. Yeah. So famous Fulham win at Stamford Bridge. That'll be fun.
You're going to be sat with Reece James's entourage again.
Well, I would have been, yeah, but I doubt they'll be there, will they? I doubt they'll be there because they ain't going to be playing. I might be sat next to Reece James this time.
I did see him. He was sat next to Cole Palmer, I think, the other day. James, he was just behind the bench.
No,
so he hasn't been in the boxes yet.
Yeah, this would be higher up, but yeah, a little break. But I'm just disappointed the way the last game week went. To be honest, I'd done all right the 3-4 weeks before this one, and they've just come back down to earth a little bit with a bad point score. So back on the horse, mate. We'll see. Hopefully, I can have a good week, and Fulham can have a good week, and we'll end the year in style.
Mate, I'm sorry to throw this at you late in the show, but there is a question which everyone in the chat's going to want to know the answer to. I want to know the answer to. Big Man Back wants to know the answer to. You are our transfers expert. We are going to be talking about some transfers on the streams in the next week or so. Loads are talking about buying Ivan Toney. Surely he's not going to be back in the team at Brentford. Brentford are selling Toney this window, right? Or are they not? And if they are, who's favourite to land him? If you can answer that in an end of the show way, that would be amazing. But sorry to chuck that at you, mate.
Look, he can't play until mid-Jan anyway. But Brentford are in a proper slump right now. They don't actually want to lose him. but they're going to value him highly.
Yeah.
At least 60 million. In their eyes, why not try and get 80 million if Chelsea and Arsenal were going to go to a bidding war for him? I don't believe that both of those clubs will get involved in a bidding war. If there was a bidding war, I think Arsenal would just take themselves out of it and not go there. I don't think Chelsea right now, though, look like going there. I think Arsenal really need someone like Ivan Toney. He's got a goal scoring rate in the Premier League of a goal basically every other game, and that's playing at Brentford. If he was to go and play at Arsenal and be involved in a game like the one last night, I genuinely think they can get involved in a title race. Yeah, I'm literally saying Ivan Toney can win the title for Arsenal. It's going to be a really interesting one, mate. He clearly wants to go. Let's see if he starts to push for the move, because that's what will actually get that one going.
Oh, nice. Final one from you then, big man. If Toney did end up at Arsenal, FPL gold, right?
Absolutely. I'll be ditching double defense and making sure I go for him at the earliest.
Oh, love that. Lovely way to end the show, guys. We'll see you all very soon. Dean and I will be back on Monday. Do hit the notification bell, because we're not quite sure of our shows in the next week or two. And we want you guys to know always when we're streaming. So when you subscribe, notifications are key. Likes and subscribes as you leave are always very welcome. But for now, he's been Dean. He's been Big Man. I've been Janny. You lot have been the amazing chasers. And we hope we all get some big, fat, juicy green arrows into the new year. Thank you for supporting the channel over the last 12 months. Merry Christmas for a couple of days ago and a Happy New Year for the next couple of days. We'll see you in 2024.